the Pediatric Lounge, a podcast taking you behind the door of the physician's lounge to get a deeper insight into just what docs are talking about today. From the clinically profound to the wonderfully routine and everything in between.
Hey, George, great to see you.
Dr. Bravo, today we have a wonderful guest, somebody that knows a little something about social media, Dr. Daria Long. And the topic of discussion is going to be social media and speaking to parents in 2025, a physician's perspective. So everybody, welcome to the Pediatric Lounge podcast where pediatricians come to learn and share. Today, we're diving into one of the most influential forces shaping how we communicate with families, and this is the social media. In 2025, parents are getting more of their medical information from TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and other AI-driven apps than ever before. As pediatricians, this creates both an opportunity and a challenge for everybody. So let's join. Thank you, Dr. Long, for joining us today. Well, you're not just a physician in the examination room, but you're also a physician on the digital front lines, where everybody's getting flooded with a lot of information. She has a degree from Yale and Harvard, and you're an emergency room physician, a mother of three, and a social media influencer and founder of NoPanicParenting.com.
Hi, George.
Let's take it away, guys.
Thank you so much, George. Hi, Herb. Great to see you both.
Great to see you again.
So we'll start off with, like we always do, why did you become a physician and how did you become a physician influencer?
Can we and the word influencer? Oh, it has so much connotation with it. The way I got into media in the first place, I went backwards. Some people go through social media and then they end up in television. I actually started in TV first. I was in residency and it was, do y'all remember, like there was the bird flu and the swine flu, and our waiting room length of stay one night to see a physician was 8 hours. Waiting room length of stay. You'd see these people and they'd say, yeah, you probably have the bird flu. I'm sorry you were so scared, because they had seen these headlines on TV that were the stay tuned for the local news at 10 p.m. for the death toll of the swine flu. And people were terrified. And I remember thinking there's got to be a better way to reach people. So I started out with the American College of Emergency Physicians. And I started doing some small scale media with them, which led to local TV, led to doing a lot of national TV, and did that for a lot of years. Did CNN, Fox News, Dr. Oz, and the doctors, all the major networks talking about all things health. Realized eventually that the mom population, as I became a mother myself, they were really migrating less from network TV and more into social media. And so I just followed along. I was a little bit late to the game in that way. And like post-COVID in a way, and try to meet them where they are, trying to find their information.
What was Dr. Oz like?
The person that I know is very different than the public persona.
Okay.
To me, he's always been exceptionally kind. When my book came out, I was arguing with my publisher about the cover, like different things. He was somebody that I could say, hey, I'm having this issue. Hey, bounce off your ideas for me. He was also somebody, when I'd go on the show, if they said something that I disagreed with, that maybe the producers had put into the script, whether it was before the show, they'd always change it. And if he said it after the show, there was one time they said something on one of the shows, he was reading the prompter. I didn't find it to be factually correct. I flagged him as soon as we were finishing taping, like literally there was a live audience still there. And I said, hey, Mehmet, you said XYZ, but actually this is appropriate. He had them change the prompter right then and there. He refilmed it and did it. So, yeah. So that's the person that I saw.
By training, was he a cardiovascular surgeon?
He's a cardiothoracic surgeon. Yeah. He was at Columbia. I'm probably going to mistitle him. I think he was like vice chair of the department at one time.
Yeah. Very successful. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's the person that I've always seen on that personal level.
Yeah. I've heard he's a incredibly bright physician.
So tell us a little bit about social media. How do you think it's changed the way physicians, pediatricians communicate with their parents and patients?
I think parents go there first. I think they go there. They definitely go there before they come to see me in the emergency department. They probably also go there before they come to see their pediatrician in many ways, even before they have a pediatrician. They're looking there for pregnancy information. I had a patient, the mom came in, and you can tell by the language that they use. first. And I don't even remember it. The child had a very mild viral illness. So the mom, after we talk about it, the mom says, is she bacteremic? Like, no, I explained to her why she's not bacteremic. Is she septic? No. And she's like, she had this the other day. Does she have dry drowning? I was like, stop using social media. Like, she was throwing like every social media term at me out of context. And so we have to be aware of what our patients are finding because they're going. And we have to be able to, at a minimum, know and be able to respond to it because there are those hot social media button terms off the tip of her tongue.
You tend to be able to hear it when they start talking words that they really shouldn't know. You knew that it used to be just Dr. Google. They research something and then ask you a question. Now it's like all these videos and
I know. It feels so innocent and naive to now think back to, the days when all our patients could do was Google information. And now they have social and AI. So yes, they are going there first. That's why I try to be there. There are topics that I don't feel like wading into. Vaccines. I know if I do a post on vaccines, 80% of the people are going to appreciate it. But there's 20%, maybe 10%. I don't know exactly the percentage. There is a portion that is going to be not just unkind, but attacking, flagging my account, reporting my account, sharing it. And then they just come and they attack. But at the same time, I feel if I and those of us who are really advocating for evidence-based information are not posting about those things just because we've gotten slightly punishing, then parents just get a silo of non-factual information. So I feel like I need to be there because they need to have that counter voice of actual science.
it seems like these platforms, they have an algorithm. Somehow I received on one of the platforms, maybe TikTok or something, some nurse practitioner that was talking about vaccines and negatively about vaccines, MMR and hepatitis B, all these things. Then all of a sudden I started seeing more and more of this person pop. I don't even know who you are. Stop it.
Yes, the algorithm, it definitely does that. I had mentioned the post. I did this post on risk stratification. It wasn't even a pro-vaccine post. I actually I filmed it once, watched it, didn't like it, waited and refilmed it another day because vaccine posts and some hot button ones I know have to be perfect before they go out. And it was just on risk stratification. It said, as a physician, 2 infants come into the ER with fevers. I'm going to look at their risk factors. I'm going to look, did they have a NICU stay? Did they have complications? Were they full term? Have they had recently lots of antibiotics? And were they vaccinated or not? And I'm going to factor in all those factors. And the child who is vaccinated is likely going to potentially need less tests, maybe fewer blood labs. We might urine, chest x-ray. Like an unvaccinated child might be more at risk of needing a spinal tap. And the first 2 days were great. People found it helpful. But then suddenly it must have gotten shared somewhere. And I worked closely with like Paul Offit and their team. I'd actually run the video by them before I even posted it. So I went to them. I said, hey guys, like it's getting attacked. I'm getting attacked. I'm getting called a demon. People are threatening me. Can you go share this or just comment on it and bring some science back? And one of the people on his team was like, I want to know how they're sharing it in the anti-vax world, because the way they're getting the message out so rapidly is a channel that we don't have and we need to know what they're doing. Sometimes I was like, we need to learn from them. How are they doing this?
It happened to us during COVID. We were very proud that we were able to facilitate in our office to give COVID vaccines back when everybody wanted it in the early days. We were very efficient. So we thought that we took some pictures of some of the kids, our kids, on Facebook getting the shot. Oh my God. Some people started writing, thank you very much, getting this for us and so forth. And then we got flooded with baby killers, blood on your hands. How can you do this? We had to shut down the post. It made me feel really bad.
It's the flooding. That's really impressive. And I don't fully understand it. And yeah, if anybody knows their secrets, we'd like to know, and I'll share it with Affid and their team. On the flip side, there's good. I just did a post on mesh bumpers, and I had also done a post on those de-choking devices. And I just did another one the other day. And you have people who come and say, oh, wow, thanks for doing this. I was just about to buy a bumper for my grandbaby. I didn't realize. Now I watched your post. This came at just the right time because the algorithm does pay attention. So probably that grandmother was looking at bumpers, or another one was looking at de-choking devices. And the Facebook algorithm fed them my video actually advising against these things. And it got to them at the right time. So that's why we're doing it, is you endure that insanity because you realize that 80% of the people who you're reaching are 95, probably 98% of people are reaching. It's actually useful and it's at the right time. And if I'm helping them and if I'm somehow supporting their pediatrician and echoing something their pediatrician has said, even better.
Yeah.
So what
So
channels do you use mostly? Because I didn't find you on Instagram. Maybe it's a different. You're
she's on
On
MySpace.
Mm. So
exactly. Napster. Have you checked Napster? I'm really big there. No, so on Instagram, I'm Dr. Daria. Yeah, that's where I am, and a couple 100,000 followers there. I'm also on TikTok, YouTube, all the places. I primarily create for Instagram. That's like everybody says, oh, you need to have different content for every algorithm, for every platform. I actually work in the emergency department. Like I have a also job. So I don't do all that. I create content for one platform and then we also share it on the other platforms. And that's just been key for my sanity.
and why did you pick Instagram?
I just like it. I like at the time that I chose to do it, TikTok was you could only do really short captions in TikTok. And as much as I know, doing television, I got trained in how do you give answers in 3 minutes. So I could do the really tightened for shorter clips for social media, but I wanted to write a little bit more. And there's a nuance to medicine. As much as people just want the binary yes, no, tell me the exact answer, you can't give that in medicine. And so I liked how Instagram had space for captions and more flexibility.
You have a social media person that helps you?
So I think this is key. I have one person who's my admin, who is like my assistant, but she also posts. I have used agencies in the past, but I would tell most pediatricians like an agency wants you to come and spend $3,000 to $5,000 with them per month to create content with you that's just going to look generic and take a ton of time and probably be super stressful for you. I have never found growth with that. The time I grow is when I just go and I put my post out there and it's me and it's Gabrielle and she helps me create my content. I film it, I write it. Nobody else can write the content. Nobody else can write for me. So I have to write the content. I have to write what I'm doing. And so then I pass it off to her to edit and post.
How did you grow the audience? That's a very large audience.
I mean, I think anybody on social will tell you it's a combination, like it's luck and doing it consistently. I think me doing television was very helpful. I started on TV too. Every time I did TV or articles or different things, I would put my handle. So that did help and did help me grow. And then now, as a result of having that audience, I have partnerships with like really big organizations. So I partner and do collaborations on posts with the American Heart Association, Consumer Reports, Baby Center, a variety of different places that now that I have that account, now that I have that audience, they know that I'm evidence-based and trustworthy. I can collaborate with them and do content with them.
Yeah.
Do you think it's our responsibility as physicians to have a social media presence to stay viable?
No. And any pediatricians are out there who are stressing, I want to say no. Maybe I'm being a contrarian, but I think a lot of people are saying you have to have a social media presence to do X, Y, Z. I think to anybody, pediatrician or anything else, I have a lot of friends who are really exceptional doctors, and they're the people who I call when I need a second opinion or I need somebody other than myself to take care of my child. Can you chat with me through this? And I see them either not with large followings or they're spinning their wheels and frustrated. So what I tell, and if you do social media, you're going to take out that pummeling on vaccines or other things. So I say, do it if it serves you, meaning like maybe do social media because you like it. Maybe people enjoy it. They like the feedback. They like the creativity outlet. Some people like that. Great. Maybe they do it because their patients find it helpful or because it's making money and supporting them. Otherwise, I would say then instead go find 10 accounts that you like and just share their content and share that because it is a part-time job for me. For people who are like non-physician influencers, it's a full-time job, but they don't do other stuff. But for me, it's a part-time job because I'm still actually working in the emergency room, but it is a job. And so for me, where I focus now on helping parents prevent accidents, illnesses, and injuries and knowing what to do when those happen. That is my lane. I'm not going to go talk about growth charts. I'm not going to go talk about necessarily how to transition your baby from breast milk to solids and how to do that. I'll talk to you about what to do to reduce their risk of choking when that happens. but I really know my lane. But still, it's a lot to make sure that I'm always up to date on all the baby proofing information. What are all the recalls? What are the latest? What is the AP now sounding? Client sleep, this and that. All the CPR stuff. American Heart Association changed their guidelines last week. I had to go back through and change all of my content to update some of my content. If a pediatrician finds it useful, great. If not, do what you enjoy and just find some accounts that you like and share them. So you're still in the mix because you're helping share actual scientific information, and that's extremely valuable.
Yeah, professionalism is a thing for me. Maybe I'm old school, but I think I've seen a lot of physicians dancing and acting really silly and stupid sometimes. I can't do that. I'm sorry.
George, I don't dance. I totally hear you. I do not dance on my videos. There are some physicians who dance and they're great and they look amazing and more power to them.
But this
I'm
is
with you. I don't dance. I'm not dance. I dance a lot, but I don't put it on social. I sing a lot. I don't put it on social. I think you have to find what's comfortable to you. And if it's not comfortable, again, I think there's just all this pressure that's like, you have to be on, you have to be dancing, you have to be doing this, and it has to be cute, and it has to be the trending soundbite. I think social media wants you obviously on because they just want people on constantly. But if it's not serving you as a pediatrician, if it's not making you money, if it's not getting you patients, then forget it. You don't need that.
I just think that you just set the point. I don't think, at least for pediatricians, that they cannot be on Instagram. I think demographics is too young, but a lot of women of childbearing age are on Instagram. And that's a lot. This is scary, but a lot of people don't read a newspaper. They don't turn the TV on to watch the news at night. And all their information is coming from their Instagram feed. And if you're not there, then people don't know you exist. They'll see whatever practice in town has a good Instagram account, and they'll, that's my doctor. So it used to be you put your ad in the yellow pages, and there used to be these throwaway children newspapers that told you by city what everything that was going on that month, that like child fairs and this fair, that fair, and you could pay to write an article in those, and that's the way you got your word around. But now I don't think anybody looks at that, and they just go on their Instagram feed and they find that your practice is not there. They're like, I don't know if I want to go.
And I think you make a good point. I was not meaning don't be there at all, but I was more saying you don't need to be the person, the algorithm. If you listen to influencer experts, you need to be posting five times a week on a regular basis at the exact same time. What's your content calendar? Our pediatrician that we go to see is on Instagram, but not very much. And I chose her because she's an exceptional pediatrician. My husband is an orthopedic hand surgeon and has patients coming to him from throughout the Southeast. He has a social media account that he has been dragged to, kicking and screaming by me. Yes, he can be tagged. It is so if somebody searches him on Instagram, they can find him. And what I say to most pediatricians, okay, take 2 or 3 of the talks that you give to parents. Like every pediatrician has, what's your newborn sleep talk or whatever that you give to parents? Take 2 or 3 of them that are each about a minute or 2. Put those up there. You're just talking to the camera so that they see you as a person, but you don't need to be up there hitting every trend, dancing, doing all that. They want to see you as a person who is smart and kind. Is this person going to sit with me and explain my baby's weirdness to me and understand that?
Yeah, we actually did a project. Herb is the brainchild behind this project. He gave me the idea of why do you have to talk about all the bright futures and all the preventative care and all the vaccine the same over and over again at every single visit? Why don't you just make some videos and send it out to them before their visits? We call them the checkup videos.
I love it.
I did it a little bit old school. I had a younger physician and myself, and we just go back and forth, nothing prepared. We had some PowerPoint below, and we're just talking about what you're expecting at the visit, what vaccines you're going to get, side effects, and so forth. At the beginning, it was a little bit of a heavy lift. People weren't watching it, but now I get through my visits very quickly. I ask them, did you get a text message from us that says the doctors would like you to watch this video? And most of the time they'll say yes. Do you have any questions? And they'll say, what about this vaccine? What about this? And sometimes I'll test them and say, who's speaking on these videos? That's how I'll test them. And
You're watching?
They'll say me. Sometimes they'll say the guy with the hair and the guy without the hair, the guy with the good hair and the bad hair, the young guy, the old guy.
Love it.
So
Yes.
it's become very popular. It works.
Great. And then I would say take those videos that you're doing. Like, every pediatrician, you have given those talks, so go film yourself doing it. I would say put them up on YouTube where it welcomes longer form.
Yeah.
And then also post them on Instagram, also post them on TikTok. If they take off, great, but that's not why you're doing it. You're
Right.
not doing it because you're trying to get 500,000 followers or 200,000 followers. You're doing it so that if somebody local is looking for a pediatrician and has a question, and they can find you. It's a
Yeah.
different purpose. And I think that's really important. I think to separate out, why are you doing social media and in a way that serves you?
Right.
That's the other thing we have, because we have our baby proofing courses, we have our CPR choking courses. I'm an instructor in CPR choking for both the Red Cross and for American Heart Association and BLS and ACLS and PALS and all of those. And created that content because I found that parents were finding out how to take care of choking from some influencer they saw online, or there's a movie or whatever. Even when they went to in-person classes, if the instructor wasn't pediatrics trained, then the parents weren't coming away trained in actually how to take care of it. And their pediatricians probably don't remember because their pediatricians they took PALS probably like 20 years ago, and pediatricians don't take BLS. We as the physicians, we don't take BLS. So I had to go relearn BLS to say, what does the AHA say to teach the layperson? And I knew a pediatrician can't stay up on all that. So that's why our videos are there. Because if a pediatrician says, okay, go here and watch this video, whether it's on safe sleep or how to take care of choking, they know it's at a reliable source. And that's going to make it easier for them when they have the conversation with the patients. That patient already has that basis of knowledge.
What I've noticed is all the stuff that we talk about, it's all common knowledge. Search it out on Google, you get 50 million hits of the same topic. I think they accept it better when the face that's speaking to you is somebody that's known to them, as just somebody talking about preventative care stuff. Now, how do you handle situations like when a parent quotes Dr. TikTok these days during your visit? What do you deal with that?
They're going to. It's like the mom who has to tell us bacteremic septic and dry drowning all in the same breath. It means it's going to take a little bit longer because you probably have to now sit down, do a little bit of correction of their that false information that they have, and now redirect. And that's what I usually try to do is it is more like, okay, let me sit down, which I'm usually sitting down anyways, because unlike a pediatrician that you have 20 years to build relationships with people, I have about 20 seconds to get them to trust me because they come into the ER, they've never seen me in their life. So it's trying to be aware of what they're going to be coming in with, which sometimes is hard. Sometimes they come in when like, I don't even know what you're talking about. And so trying to figure that out, redirect, and explain in a way that is not judgment. When I ask, it's hard now. We ask parents if the kid's vaccinated, and that is a loaded question now, unfortunately. So I have to say, I usually make it inclusive. Like, I'm going to ask about some different risk factors. It's going to help me know about your child. And that includes a number of things. Were they term? Were they NICU? Did you have complications? Are they vaccinated or not? Like, I include that in that. And I also say, this isn't a judgment. I just it's one of the various factors, and I need to be able to include all the factors to make your personalized information, because I also don't want patients to get defensive, but I also don't want them to lie. I know I have colleagues who have asked if the patient was vaccinated, and the parent said yes. And then it turned out the kid wasn't vaccinated because the parent didn't want to have that discussion. That really leads us down a totally different rabbit hole. So I try to say, listen, I know you make your decisions. All parents make their decisions. I'm not judging. I just need to know so I can provide the best care for your kid. And so it's tough, but it's a question you have to ask with nuance.
Yeah. I wonder, how do cranky doctors like Dr. Bravo deal with that question?
You.
I just ignore it. That's like the parent who told me that everybody has diabetes. I said, no, that's not true. I got up and walked out. It's unfortunately, some parents are illiterate. They cannot read. And I can't really explain to somebody that grew up in El Salvador, and when they were in third grade, their custom is that the family pulls you out of school and puts you back in the farm where you could produce. And now she's got kids. I'm not going to be able in 5 minutes to explain the difference between a virus and a bacteria to a person like that. That takes years of education, and she doesn't have the time and I don't have the time. So All I can say is your kid's got a cold and antibiotics don't help for a cold. Come back in 2 days.
What I've noticed with the younger population of physician, the less experienced physician, they get a little taken back by this and it makes them second guess themselves. Oh, maybe he was bacteremic. Maybe he was septic. Maybe I should do this. And they tend to do things and they start looking for zebras that are not there, where Herb knows that's a horse and that's it. Goodbye. That's that creates that.
I also look for zebras. I did a lot of emergency medicine, and you just
Mhm.
decide, is the patient sick or not sick? Can they go
Yeah.
home or can or they? And then the next question is, they're sick. Is it something I know, or who do I call? And so my life's very simple. If it's not a sick patient, they're gonna get better. If it's a sick patient, I don't know what's wrong with them. I just need to know who to call. And
Yeah. And I think that you do kind of risk stratify patients. There are the parents who are coming and are going to argumentative, but they don't want to listen. I've had that. I've had the parent who says, no, the child, one reason the child wasn't vaccinated. I'd come in February when the child was like, I don't I took care of her now as a slightly older child. And she'd come in February when she was under 2 months. Apparently the mom had refused the LP then, despite having a variety of risk factors. That apparently the team at the time wanted to LP her, but she said that LP was too invasive. Because meningitis isn't, and so those parents are not gonna, they're not gonna listen. It doesn't matter what I say. I can sit down and try to explain to them until I'm blue in the face. Okay, great. What do you need? We're gonna do our best by your child. Okay, thank you very much. Have a great day. There are times that can be whether I'm reaching them in the ER or I'm reaching them on social media. On social media, the comment is often, I have this question and I'm not trying to be sarcastic. It's funny. They feel like they have to clarify because there is so much antagonism on social. So those people, whether it's in the ER or on social, I'm like, okay, this is a potential teaching moment. I can do something that might move the needle. So that's exciting. That's a great point. And that's when you can't, then that's when it is worth sitting down, either in the ER or metaphorically on social and say, okay, let me explain this to you because we can talk about it.
Yeah. Now, do you think we have any legal or ethical considerations that we have to keep in mind when posting online?
If you talk to my attorney, George, they will say yes. I'm like, maybe not. I'll work on that for you. One, of course, is HIPAA. Like that's base. All of my posts, I joke that I embellish a lot because if I take care of a 6-year-old female and I'm going to tell their story, I'll probably wait. And then when it comes out, it's probably my colleague and an 8-year-old male, assuming it wasn't a gender specific diagnosis. So I change it as much as possible. I don't want my patients, if they happen to follow me, to recognize themselves in their story, unless it's literally somebody that I'm like, hey, can I share about this? But again, usually my patients, when I am in the ER, I go by Daria Gillespie. So I'm Dr. Gillespie versus on social, I'm Dr. Daria everywhere. So if somebody doesn't recognize me, often that does happen. But if somebody doesn't, I'm fine with that. I am two different personas. I'm not filming when I'm in the ER. I'm not doing social. I'm not doing that. So there's HIPAA. Number two is medical advice. Can it be perceived in any way as medical advice? So of course we put a disclaimer in a bunch of the posts that this is not medical advice. Call 911 if you're having an emergency and all, but that doesn't, somebody can still sue you. But when people ask me specific questions, instead of responding to their question, say somebody has a question to me in DM, which I get a lot. My 6-week-old has XYZ. The pediatrician says this, but this, what should I do? I will either not respond. Sometimes depends. Sometimes I'll respond and say, you know what, I really can't answer this. I'm so sorry, but I can't see your precious child, beautiful child's face. And for me to try to give you medical advice in any way would be a disservice to you. Please go back. I highly recommend talk to your pediatrician. Or I'll say, this is a great question. Let me do that as a post. And then I'll do it as a post. Now it's general guidance. Never, ever give personal information to somebody. If you do it over social media, you have established a medical physician-patient relationship and then open yourself up to liability.
Really? Wow.
So yes.
Because there's legal issues everywhere you go. Otherwise, the lawyers wouldn't be in business. They always want to sue doctors.
Exactly. Like I was working on a television show and there were two they were looking at the format. There was one format where they had me talking to the patient, giving her input so she could go get second opinions. My insurance company blew up that one. They're like, no, you have now, by talking to her, have a patient-physician relationship. That is not okay. Or now you have to put in all these different malpractices. You have to have a license in the state where she is, all of those things. what we ended up doing was we took stories where people had put their posts and their stories up on social. I then commented as an op-ed after the fact. That's okay. And
Wow.
again, speaking generally, so I was not giving medical, but you have to be really careful, and you do not want to establish a patient-physician relationship on social.
Interesting. I think that's what a lot of physicians fear, establishing that
Mhm.
relationship and the potential to be sued.
Yes.
Wow,
So
all
somebody
this.
comes and asks me a question about weight gain, whatever, or a child who falls, and my answer, if I respond, will be, when I take care of a child who falls, this is what I'm looking for. I'm not going to say your child. I'm speaking generally, and that's what I
Wow.
advise everybody to do.
Sounds like you do a lot of work. How do you balance the time between actually seeing patients, our daytime job, and maintaining an active online presence? Because just for us for this podcast, it could be somebody's full-time job. Doing this, the recording is the easy part. We have
Mhm.
to make questions, prepare, find the guest, schedule the guest, sit down with the guest, talk.
Yep.
An hour. It's just 1 hour of talking, but then you have to chop them up and put them all over the
Oh,
place.
it's so much work. It's so much work. I founded my company, No Panic Parenting, because I felt that there was so much bad information when it came to baby proofing, child safety, that whole space of preventing accidents, illnesses, and emergencies, and knowing what to do when they happen. CPR, choking. In fact, there was just so much influencers, I realized, and not a medical physician created content and platform. So we founded No Panic Parenting, we brought on our head of policy and leadership is somebody who had been 30 years at the consumer product, CPSC, the consumer product. He had been for 20, 30 years in the CPSC, led all the button battery initiatives, led safe sleep initiatives, led all these different initiatives. So we brought him on board. I've also brought on board a couple other pediatric emergency medicine physicians to help edit our content, and now bring on a new guy who's an EMS person and has done a lot of the AHA teaching as well. Because to create this content and make sure that this content is fully updated and the best evidence out there, that it's good enough for consumers and it's good enough for physicians and pediatricians to point their patients to, that has become a full-time job. Not just to create it, but now the CPSC guy every month reviews all the research and the literature to make sure that everything in our courses and our platforms is still up to date. Because 10 days ago, when the American Heart Association changed their guidelines on how to handle choking, we had to go back in and refilm our stuff in our course.
Oh,
So
wow.
that has now become more of a part-time job. And so I do less work clinically because I am doing that, because it's just not possible to keep up to date on all of that and be doing that content.
PSC is Consumer Product Safety Commission.
Thank you. They're the ones who do all the safe sleep regulations and everything
Right.
else. One of the other things we do is there's been a lot of cuts, as all pediatricians know, to government funding and government research, specifically in the pediatric space, in the pediatric injury space, the safe sleep space. One of the things we do is now creating an arm that funds that research in partnership with public companies. And for-profit companies, they fund the research, and then we proceed to be able to do the research, because it's terrifying to think that this area of child injury space could be lost if we're not following it enough. So that is an arm that we are doing as well. It means I've cut back on clinical, still work clinically. I love doing it, but that means I've cut back on clinical. And also we do relationships with the American Heart Association. So when they changed their guidelines 10 days ago, they reached out to me and they said, we're not going to be able to do a social media post on this quickly enough because our science team takes too long. So can we give you the guidelines and you do a post on it and we'll share it? So that's what we did. I did a post the next day on the new choking guidelines for the AHA. They shared it. And so we have the relationships like that too. But it's all based off of being super trustworthy first. Like, I am a physician and a scientist first who happens to make content on social media.
But companies can't advertise because you're a physician. So they always say, we can't give you money because you guys are physicians, then it's a physician organization. That's what the trouble we're running into. These things don't make money by selling a couple of courses online for $10, $50.
No, you're right. And it's trying to figure out those relationships with the courses. It's tough. I do sponsored posts on social media, and it's just one of those things because you're exactly right. The child injury space is not one that's really self-funding right now, which
Right.
is why when we did, but you can create Chinese walls. A couple of years ago, we did a study on burnout in women, and
Mhm.
we're now replicating that model for child injury. The way we did it is, yes, I've done studies that we went to the NIH and did grants and did all of that. And it took 52 years to just secure the grant and then do the research. So instead, I said, what if we try something new? It was in the middle of COVID. And I said, I have a relationship with brands. And so I went to the brands and I said, I know some top researchers who are in the burnout space. I want to do a study on burnout in women, in moms. Will you brands fund it? But you don't get to see the data. You don't get to comment on the data. You don't get to comment on the study. But when we publish the results, I will say that this is funded by you. Luna Bar, Cliff Bar funded this study, burnout study in women. And they agreed to it. You have to find the right brands and brands that trust you. And so it was a fully IRB regulated study. They had no insight into the data. They had no insight into anything like that. I got the funding done in about 2 months. Had the research done. It was the single largest academic study on burnout in women post-pandemic, first one to come out. And peer review studies, we're still publishing off of it. So it is possible. It just means you have to be careful. But I think it's very possible, especially in today's very unreliable government funding space, to say, okay, I am going to choose my partners. I'm going to choose these corporate partners very carefully. And they don't get to see the research that we're doing, but it is funding it. And that's part of how we do it, because otherwise there isn't a ton of money for the people who need the pediatric injury and safety information.
We're talking about funding of these things, Herb.
Yeah.
Podcast, and it's always a problem because you're Dr. Bravo, so we don't want to influence his medical decisions with money, so they don't want to touch it. Anyways,
The other thing I do is I do a little bit reverse. When brands come to me, because I get multiple times a day, brands are wanting to reach out with the latest and greatest. My line in the sand is, it something I already use in my home? If it's something I already use in my home, they're not influencing me. I'm already using it. They're now just helping fund our research for me to talk about something that I already use and trust in my home. They're not influencing me. There was one time a brand was I was debating whether or not, and then that night I'm like giving it to my child because it's already in my house. I was like, oh yeah, like this is an organic relationship. This I can do. So I just am really careful. It's something I use, or every once in a while, I hear something that they come to me and I'm like, oh wow, I didn't know about that. I love that. Okay. If I do that, then sure, you can say, oh, you're talking about this. How dare you talk about Clorox wipes? It's because, girlfriend, I use Clorox wipes about 23 times in my house. So if I share with other people and other moms why, there's nothing wrong with that. Is not influence. And yes, you have to be very transparent and things, but that's what we do. And you have to be very careful.
I wear the Littman stethoscope on every single podcast episode. They should sponsor the podcast. The pediatric.
That would be a perfect one. Yeah.
I wear it because I want to show that I'm a real physician and that I actually see patients all day long. You should sponsor a pediatric podcast, Pediatric Lounge podcast.
Hashtag ad, hashtag shout out. But are you a real pediatrician if your stethoscope doesn't have something fun hanging off of it? Come on, George. Where's your little doohickey?
I got the professionalism piece. I told you about that. I don't like the goofiness. Yeah.
My stethoscope right now, I lost it. My stethoscope that I'd had for years. And then the other day, about a couple weeks ago, I found a totally brand new stethoscope in my house. And I realized it was my husband because he's an orthopedic surgeon. So he used it 3 times in medical school and it's next to brand new. So now I use that one.
Does he even know where the heart is?
Next to the ribs.
Exactly. Yeah. Y'all remember that cartoon about asystole? The orthopedic surgeon was like, the patient is in asystole. There will be less blood loss.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to new physicians, pediatricians who want to start creating that content, but have no idea where to begin? Where should they start?
I would say, one, is there a area that you love talking about? What is that area that you enjoy? If so, film that will come across. That will be the easiest to film. Start there. Number 1. Number 2, is there an area that you find yourself answering the same question every single time? film that because one, it'll save you time if somebody wants to ask you. And number two, you're a pro at it. You have your script exactly for that because you've given that talk. Start there. And I would say, don't make it complicated. No, don't create a content calendar. Say, I'm going to just do one post a week. You are much better off doing an algorithm changes 80 times a month, which is one of the frustrating things. One post a week. If you don't like yourself in front of the camera, then don't do it as a post. Do it as slides, as text on cards. That does very well on Instagram and TikTok as well. You don't have to force yourself to be the dancing, jazz hands singing pediatrician if it's not you. Once a week for the next 12 weeks, post that, and you have a great source of library of content right there.
Yeah.
And then also just share. I have pediatricians and all with smaller followings that will share my content. And you know what? They share my content and they put something. And if they've tagged me because I'm lazy, it's if they don't tag me, I don't. But if they've tagged me, then I can click add to my story that Dr. So-and-so said, this is really helpful. I share it to their patients. I'm going to share it back on my screen and say, Doctor, thanks for sharing and the work you do. Do that. Have the 5 to 10 accounts that you like to follow and share their stuff too.
Yeah, tagging business and the hashtags, I don't quite get that.
If somebody posts a post and tags me and 30 other accounts of large following, I'm not going to go and do it. But this morning, a pediatrician had seen one of my posts, had shared my post in their stories to their followers and tagged me. So it allowed me, a button popped up that said, add to your story. And she had also written on there, great content on the newest information. I then shared it to my stories. She gets that access to my audience now. They see her stuff too. And she's also sharing my content to her audience. So she doesn't have to create that content on the newest guidelines for choking. Her audience is going to see it anyways, and it's curated from her, so they will trust it, and it'll be useful for them as well.
Now, looking ahead, how do you envision the role of social media evolving in pediatric medicine by 2030? What we're doing today is probably baby steps, or maybe running.
This is the crystal ball part. This is a tough question. I think whether it's social media or not, I think the role of AI is going to continue to grow for better or for worse. I have a post where I hear people all the time, they went to ChatGPT to do their research. So I deliberately went to ChatGPT to do a research question, knowing that I knew I'd be disappointed. I was surprised by how badly it disappointed me, which made for a great post. I think a lot of information people will continue to find even more and more access to online. But I think, therefore, having those trusted voices that you can trust to bring some legitimacy and sanity to it will become even more important for parents. I think parents are really overwhelmed. They are flooded every day with information, with new fears unlocked. And you need a baby proof. Here's the 300 things in your house to baby proof. So I think that people who can show up, help people kind of understand what are the actual risks, how do you mitigate your risks and get on with your day, will be beneficial. Because I also think that the public in some ways is getting tired of social media too. Everybody's starting to understand sitting on it and doom scrolling all day is crap for your health. That's why I don't do it. I go on, I post, I create, and I get off. But so I think I hope the cream will rise to the top. I think there's a lot of reckoning going on over the next couple of years with the vaccine discussion, with all of that. And I know, George, I'm going in circles with this answer.
Yeah.
I think
you don't have a crystal ball.
I don't. And the reality is, I think social media, Instagram comes every other week and they change your algorithm.
Right.
So that's why I also say it's even more so, don't stress about creating whatever you think you need to create for this algorithm. Create the content that serves you as a pediatrician. Create content for you that you may also post on social, maybe post on your website, send it in emails to your patients, whatever. Think of social media as not an end to itself, but it is a tool for you, and you use it in a way that serves your own toolkit.
Yeah. Herb, any closing thoughts? Any thoughts?
No,
He's a doctor today. Today's a real day.
He looks so official in his white coat.
He's very stressed. He likes being a celebrity doctor. He likes to be in the podcast.
Herb, you got a face for TV, baby. You're just born for it.
It's always good to talk to you.
I know he has a voice for radio.
The world's changing and it worries me a little bit. the speed of change and the accumulation of data, which we're capable of doing today, November 2025, seems like it's a little bit more than we can handle as humans.
Yeah.
And a lot of these things, like you were saying, 300 things to make your home safe when you bring your newborn home. It's just not achievable for any, but it's also happening in medicine. For example, the autoimmune diabetes space is moving so fast. The science is moving so fast. The workforce is not ready for everything that's going to need to be done.
Mhm.
And you can't implant a chip on my head and chat GPT it so I know what to do tomorrow. And so the science and the data is moving faster than we can implement it. And that it stresses our workforce, and it also, I think it stresses new parents because they can't chat GPT anything, and
No.
they'll get references and it looks very legitimate until you go back to the references and you realize, no, they're way off the mark on this and that. But
And
they're very efficient tools, and I think communication is incredibly important, and it's become more important as my clients become younger, right? So you have to change the way you communicate with young.
yeah, it's true. And I have to a little bit be an optimist and hope part of the battle I'm fighting is the battle to show why expertise matters. Why that expertise for the person that you're talking about who understands autoimmune, diabetes, endocrine, and all of that, that expertise matters and the value
Right.
of that. And that's why I had to studying the baby proofing and the CPR and the child safety. And I think that's also why, as of whatever we're doing, is like having your lane. And this is my lane. So I am fully up to date in this area of pediatric injury prevention and reacting to it. Then
Right.
I know who is the good OB or the good autoimmune endocrine person, and I will share their content. I'm not going to try to go create that kind of content. So I think, and same for pediatricians. Okay, here is my lane where I know because I have to be expert in this. And otherwise, I will lean on others' tools. Like I will use somebody else's thing. If a pediatrician wants to use our content for baby proofing or child safety or CPR choking and drowning, great. That like if I can help them and support them so they can go maintain their expertise in their own niche, that is what matters. And I think we all have to very much support each other from like a subspecialty basis that way. And I think that's the only way we're going to make it.
Thank you very much. I know we've taken up a lot of your time. Can you tell our audience where can they find you?
Yes, absolutely. On Instagram, I am Dr. Daria. On TikTok, I'm the real Dr. Daria because I locked myself out of my Dr. Daria account and I don't know how to log back in. Facebook, there, YouTube, all. And then our website is nopanicparenting.com. That's where we have the baby proofing course and we have the CPR course. And again, yes, absolutely. If there is a pediatrician that says, I have parents coming to me and I'm fighting the safe sleep battle or I'm fighting this battle for baby proofing or child safety all the time, if there's a way that our content can help you, just reach out. We're happy to make that available in any way that supports your practice.
Okay, thank you.
It's always great.
Absolutely.
It's always great to see you. I always enjoy chatting with you, and you're doing a phenomenal job
Thank you. Yourself
educating the
as well.
masses.
Now go back to that ER and save a life.
Onward. All right, you too as well. Use that stethoscope, George.
I do every day.
All
Be
right,
well.
thank you.
All right.
Thank you for listening. This has been a production of the Pediatric Lounge. On the show notes, you will find links to our co-host and other important notes, as well as a timetable of the topics discussed today. Don't forget to follow us on social media and subscribe to wherever you listen to your podcast. Leave us a great review as it helps us greatly. In the meantime, we will see you next week. The Pediatric Lounge. The conversations are not intended as medical advice, and the opinions expressed are solely those of the host and the guest.